All right, let's pull back the curtain on a core concept that keeps the whole insurance world spinning: reserving. This is the financial bedrock, the very foundation that makes sure the promises made today can actually be kept tomorrow. Okay, so let's dive right in with a question. Imagine an insurer's vault, and it is just overflowing with gold. I mean, they look unbelievably rich. So that leads to a pretty interesting question, right? With all that cash, why can't they just spend it? It seems a little weird, but the answer really gets to the very heart of what insurance is all about: promises, risk, and of course, time. To get our heads around this, we're going to follow the story of a shield guild. Just picture a bustling little village where this guild sells these amazing protective shields. Business is absolutely booming, and the premiums, the coins paid for those shields, are just piling up in their vaults. But as that vault started to fill up, a really important debate started, all thanks to the guild's cautious planner. See, he understood something fundamental. This money wasn't just profit to be spent. No, it was a promise. It was money set aside for the day when those shields would inevitably break and need to be fixed. And this created this core tension, this classic dilemma. On one side, you've got the planner, who's arguing for prudence, for setting money aside for what's to come. But on the other side, you've got the risk taker. He sees a full vault and wants to expand, build new workshops, maybe even throw a few feasts. It's that age-old business problem. Do you secure the future, or do you seize the opportunities of right now? So how did the guild first try to solve this little problem? Well, their initial approach was pretty simple, but it was about to face a truly catastrophic test. Their first attempt at a solution, honestly, it was pure guesswork. They'd just look at the big pile of coins, kind of rely on their intuition, and take a stab at how much to put aside for broken shields. It wasn't scientific at all. It was all based on a gut feeling. And then, the twist. The unforeseen disaster strikes. We're not talking a small skirmish or a few broken shields here and there. No, this was a full-blown dragon storm, a catastrophic event that nobody saw coming and was about to test their promises to the absolute limit. The damage was just immense. It shattered way more shields than their simple guesswork had ever accounted for. The sheer scale of the crisis completely overwhelmed their casual preparations and sent a massive shockwave right through the guild. And the financial impact? It was immediate, and it was devastating. The guild's vault, which was once overflowing, was now practically empty. They weren't just facing financial ruin, they were facing a crisis of trust. They were on the verge of being completely unable to keep their promises to the very villagers who depended on them. This disaster was a painful lesson for sure, but it was a necessary one. It forced the planner to move beyond just intuition and create a robust scientific method, a system that is really the foundation of modern actuarial practice. So this new method had 3 core pillars. First, calculate what you expect to happen using past experience. Second, you have to adjust for what's happening now, new types of dragons or stronger shield materials. And third, and this is so crucial, you have to hold margins for uncertainty, a buffer for the next dragon storm. No more guessing. And all of this brings us right to the formal definition. What the planner developed is what we call reserving. It's that disciplined process of setting aside enough funds from today's premiums and assets to meet all of tomorrow's claims and obligations. It's how an insurer makes sure that every single promise has the money to back it up. But here's the thing. A reserve isn't just one big pile of money. To really get it, we need to look inside the planner's marked bags and see all the different components that actually make up a total reserve. This is where our story translates directly to the real world. The vault coins, those are the premiums collected. The marked bags, those are the different types of reserves. The dragon storm represents adverse experience, when things turn out way worse than you expected. And the planner's method, well, that's actuarial reserving. So let's decode those marked bags. A reserve has funds for claims that have been reported, but just haven't been paid yet. It also has this really crucial component called IBNR. That stands for incurred but not reported. This is for shields that are already broken, but the guild just doesn't know about it yet. And finally, you've got funds for other known future liabilities. It's really a multi-layered financial safety net. So you see, this entire process is about so much more than just numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about who guards the vault and why their work is the absolute bedrock of financial trust and stability. In our story, a new character emerges, the gatekeeper, who kind of represents the regulator. And their warning is powerful. Reserves have to be sufficient to cover everything, they have to be realistic in their assumptions, and they have to be visible and transparent. Without those three pillars, the trust that the villagers put in the guild and that we put in our financial institutions, it just collapses. And this is precisely why real-world financial regulators are so intensely focused on reserving. Their main goals are to protect you, the consumer, to maintain confidence in the whole system, and to make sure the markets are fair and orderly. And you know what? Robust reserving is absolutely central to hitting every single one of those goals. And this is not a set it and forget it calculation. Not at all. It's a living, breathing process, often called the actuarial control cycle. You start by specifying the problem. What are the risks? Then you develop a solution, the models and assumptions. But crucially, you must constantly monitor the experience. Are more shields breaking than you thought? That data then feeds right back into the process, refining the assumptions for next time. It's a continuous loop that ensures the reserves stay realistic and sufficient over time. Mastering this balancing act between being prudent and being realistic is a core professional skill. For those of you studying for the CP1 exam, for instance, you'll find that questions on reserve adequacy, justifying your assumptions, and regulatory needs are completely fundamental. So we end on this final thought. The money in an insurer's vault isn't just idle gold. It represents a sacred promise for the future. We rely on actuaries and regulators to be the guardians of that promise. But that is a monumental responsibility, which leaves us with a really critical question. Who holds the guardians accountable?